gold gleamed everywhere in the palace of King Midas. It clung to the columns like frozen sunlight. It pooled along the floors. It crowned the king's halls in a brilliance so sharp it seemed to hum. Visitors shielded their eyes when they entered, struck silent by the wealth on display. Yet when night fell and the palace emptied, Midas lay awake in the dark. The gold did not warm him. It did not speak to him. It did not quiet the restless ache in his chest. Midas was a king admired across the lands of Greece. His armies were loyal. His coffers were full. Still, he measured his life not in moments, but in possessions. Each treasure satisfied him for a time, until it didn't. And so he dreamed of more gold, more certainty, more control over a world that never felt quite secure. One afternoon, his guards brought news of a strange guest wandering the royal gardens. The old satyr was drunk, disoriented, and laughing to himself, his crown of ivy drooping over tired eyes. The guards expected punishment. Instead, Midas ordered wine and bread. For days the king entertained the satyr, listening to his stories, allowing him to rest beneath shaded trees. When at last the satyr was returned to his master, the air itself seemed to shimmer. Dionysus appeared before Midas, bright with divine laughter, his presence filling the garden like summer heat. "You showed kindness without knowing who stood before you," the god said. "Name your reward." Midas felt his heart quicken. This was no time for modesty. "That all I touch may turn to gold." The god studied him carefully. "Consider well what you ask." But Midas was already imagining it. The end of want, the end of fear, the end of longing. Dionysus raised his hand. "So it shall be." At first, the world obeyed him beautifully. Midas reached for a stone and felt it harden, flash, and gleam beneath his fingers. He laughed aloud. He brushed his hand against a tree, and its leaves froze mid-breath, transformed into delicate golden shapes that chimed in the breeze. He walked through his palace, leaving splendor in his wake. Chairs, doors, tapestries, nothing escaped him. His halls blazed brighter than any temple. Servants stared in awe. Courtiers whispered his name with reverence and fear. Midas felt something close to triumph, but when evening came, his stomach growled. He lifted bread to his mouth. It stiffened, heavy and useless. Wine became metal against his lips. Every meal ended untouched. Uneasy, Midas waved his servants away. Hunger, he told himself, was temporary. Loneliness was not. When he reached for another human being, seeking comfort, reassurance, his hands betrayed him. Warm skin turned rigid. Breath vanished. Life stilled beneath his touch. Midas recoiled in horror. Word spread quickly. The palace emptied. Footsteps faded. Doors remained closed. The gold that once dazzled now reflected only silence. Night after night, Midas wandered his halls alone. The air was cold. Every surface gleamed. His footsteps echoed endlessly, as if the palace itself were mocking him. He had everything, and nothing. At last, exhausted, starving, and trembling, Midas collapsed to the floor. "Take it back," he whispered into the empty halls. Then louder, broken. "Take it back. I was wrong." The god returned without thunder or laughter. "You asked for power," Dionysus said. "You received it." "I asked without understanding," Midas replied. "I see now." There was a long pause. Then the god spoke again. Go to the river Pactolus, wash away what you cannot bear. Midas obeyed. He knelt in the cold water, lowering his hands beneath the current. Gold bled from his skin like dust carried downstream. The curse loosened its grip. When he lifted his hands, they were only hands again. The river shimmered ever after, carrying faint traces of gold through its sands, a quiet memory of a king's mistake. Midas returned to his palace thinner, humbler, and changed. The gold remained, but it no longer ruled him. He touched things carefully now. He measured his days not by wealth gained, but by warmth felt and life preserved. And when he slept at last, the silence did not feel so heavy.